are recording, and we'll figure. And because this is my first time doing Skype like this, we'll see in the end. Hopefully, we won't talk for an hour, and then I can't even retrieve the footage. But I think it'll work. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another ONYXCON exclusive. My wonderful guest today is none other than Miss TONI Taylor. I'm going to do the applause for the audience that's not here. Yes, that's right. Clap for yourself. You better than yourself, right? And my intro is this. I say, this is a legendary fantasy artist, a drawer and painter extraordinaire, a craftswoman. Is that true? I would say craftswoman from some of your work.
Yeah.
Okay. Make sure I'm hitting all the right notes.
Yeah.
A spiritual and metaphysically driven and enhanced master of color, shape, texture, and general beauty in a variety of media. And it is ONYXCON's pleasure today on June 3rd, 2020. That is today's date, I believe, yes. It is the 3rd, correct?
Is it the 3rd? Is today what? It's
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
The 2nd. I'm ready for tomorrow. That's what's up. Okay. June 2nd, 2020. Salute to Miss TONI Taylor. So glad to have you, TONI.
I'm happy to be here with you, Joseph.
And it's a pleasure to know you at this stage in life, because I tell you, when I first discovered your work, I never thought I would meet this person. I was just in awe of everything I saw, like, whoa! So, and show them your shirt. Show them what you rocking. We up here matching.
Yeah.
Who's up in here? She represents y'all.
Here.
Yeah. All right, so we'll just start off with the basics. We won't ignore the now. We live in the now. So, what has this quarantine been like for you as an artist, like so far with just everything going on? And if you care to speak on any of the hot topics, get it off your chest now so we don't have to bring it up in weird conversation later, because there's a lot of elephants in the room with the energy in the country right now. So, I mean,
oh, man.
Yeah.
Mastodons, not elephants.
Right. Word. Good word.
Going bigger.
Ooh, that's mastodon. That's what there's a mastodon in the room.
Yeah. Well, in terms of the quarantine in particular, my flow really hasn't changed much, because I'm used to being at home and in my space doing my thing. Not to say that it didn't still affect me, mentally a bit, when you're trying to absorb everything that's going on and decipher the truth and the lies that we're being fed, because it's a combination of both. And I am a truth seeker. So, my nose can kind of sniff out when something isn't quite right. But anyway, when it comes to all of that, yeah, I'm just here in my zone. Now, initially, when it was hitting the fan, I was getting over the loss of one of my cats who, loved like a child. So, I had a space of time where I wasn't creating very much. I just had to put things on the back burner. So it was that, and then bam, COVID. And I'm like, process time, what's really going on?
Right. Really.
The more I uncovered, the more, I was seeing through the veil, and I was able to get back into my painting zone. And in terms of current events, that's another mastodon, absolutely. Brontosaurus.
Come on.
Because it's hitting home in different ways. It's initially we're thinking about our health and the whole social distancing phenomenon, which I'm a little dubious about. Right. But in terms of what's going on politically, and a lot of it is politics, and it hits home in a deep way. I don't really want to use this platform for my soapbox. I can get on the soapbox.
I'm cool with your question. That's why I gave you that opportunity, because I know it might come up just randomly because of other things we're talking about. And like I say, you can't ignore the mastodon in the room. You gotta,
Yeah, well, true. Well, I have fluctuated between pure rage and sadness, to where I'm waiting for ET to come and take me away. I got my ticket.
You've been putting in the work. You've been sending signals. We ready. Yeah.
Yes, and I do believe that, you know, we are not alone here. So yeah, ET can come and give me a ride, and I can watch everything from a distance. Um, you know, but from a spiritual perspective, I also feel like some part of me, not consciously, not this body, but somehow my spirit chose to be incarnated at this time, to bear witness, to maybe even be a teeny tiny light, you know, in the darkness, because it is about the light workers coming forth to help us to evolve, you know, because it's like we're at a crossroad. We could take the high or the low road, depending upon how much energy you give either one. And it's kind of hard not to get sucked into that dark place. You know, you know, elephant, whatever animal, it's kind of hard to ignore. But by the same token, how are we going to process it as individuals? You know, how much time are we going to spend there? So I take news diets,
Very good.
social media diets, you know.
For me, I admit, today has been the closest I've done to it in months because of it being, you know, Blackout Tuesday and everything. I did my black boxes, and then I was like, okay, I'm still looking at it every now and then, but about halfway today, I just said, okay, let me just stop looking, you know.
Yeah. Well, I didn't even know about Blackout Tuesday, because that's part of me pulling away.
I got you.
You know, I have friends who have been sharing posts and sending messages, like, and you know, for a while I've been sharing some of mine too, you know, that I think were relevant. But again, I just needed to kind of back up. I got work to do. You know, I still have bills to pay.
Right.
And if I let myself be consumed, I won't be any good to anybody. You know.
And we're our best to everybody when we keep working. That's right. Because we work up. So that's what it is. You know?
I got to keep it moving as long as I can, as long as my eyes work, my hands work. I'm going to do what I have to do. And if I have commitments, I'm going to own up to my commitments. And I'm actually part of a beautiful group of artists online called the Global Vision Train. It's a group of artists from around the world, literally around the world, who come together on Zoom. And for 2.5 months, it has been going 24 hours a day, where artists come in and out as they choose, as their time allows or whatever. And even though we're in our own spaces, we're painting together, we're creating together. And sometimes they have themes of work that you can follow along with. They have physical exercises, yoga, music, different things that are coming into play with this. And everybody is doing their best to fulfill that role as a light worker, and also use it as a cathartic medium. As I actually had one of my friends who we could call, since it's the Vision Train, they have conductors. So one of my friends is a conductor, a friend from Orlando. And she was asking me, given the current climate, if I had some input to do a special something or other for healing, you know, a theme or whatever it is for global healing, you know, which I put in my 2 cents, and you know, we'll see how that whole thing manifests. But it's a beautiful group of artists, and the work that's coming out of it is pretty phenomenal. And again, it's just another way for us to kind of process things as individuals and as a collective.
Beautiful. How'd if somebody wanted to get involved with that, is it like just open to anybody that's an artist, or
Not well. It is, in the sense that you know, if you go to their site on Facebook, Global Vision Train on Facebook, they have to answer some questions. So it's not just about coming in and being a voyeur. They want you to participate as well, you know, and know that you're bringing something to the table, you know, and that your mind is in the right place, basically. You know, so it's not like a huge vetting process, you know, just a few questions, and you share your work.
That's what's up. And it's all disciplines. It's not just visual artists. I mean, it's performing artists too. And
well, there are some performance spots that they have. It's primarily visual.
Okay.
So most of us are painters.
Gotcha.
But there might be some sculptors and or dancers or musicians or something like that where they have a special segment just for that.
Just for that word.
Yeah.
That sounds real cool. That's awesome. Kudos to y'all.
It is. I'm grateful to be a part of such a beautiful group. Last week, was last week Saturday, I think, they had a special on mycelium, on mushrooms.
Okay.
This is before all the current news and everything, where everybody's going in a different tangent. But we're thinking about how mycelium mushrooms affect us all. And how it's a part of the global ecosystem. So we've all been, asked, those who choose to participate, to create a painting that recognizes mushrooms in some way. And not just talking about the psychedelic trippy ones, but there's a lot of nourishment in that. But just coming up with something. So I do have a piece that's drawn for that, but I haven't had a chance to lay paint to it because I'm working on a commission right now. But they want us to have it done by the summer solstice so that we can all share that like on a big online gallery.
Oh, wow. Okay. Wow. So keep us abreast of that. Let me know about that on ONYXCON, because we're always going to support and post whatever you got reposted.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. So when did you realize as a youth you were an artist of any sort? Like what made you know I'm living this art life? This is my purpose. This is what I'm here to be. I know that's a heavy, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, the days of crayons and coloring books.
Like most of us, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. They were my best friends. I was kind of a sickly child and had to be isolated. So crayons and coloring books were my best friend. And I never felt lonely. I still don't. At this time in my life, I can spend a week and not see a human being, and I'm okay with that. So it was kind of ingrained from a very early age. And I was one of those kids who would color inside the lines.
Okay.
Not
okay.
like
right.
Color outside the lines, be creative, be
a little bit of both,
I was very controlled. It was like a competition with myself. How tight can I get? And growing up a little bit, I would draw somewhat, and my pediatrician, because I had to go to the doctor a lot, his patients would draw stuff, and he'd put it up on the wall, like a proud parent, and then give us a lollipop for our drawing. And he saw something a little different in mine than the other kids. So he encouraged my mom to encourage me. So I was one of those that, it's a blank piece of paper, I'm drawing on it. The shirts that would come out of a men's package the cardboard that would come out of a men's shirt package, or pantyhose, or anything that was white and solid, I was drawing on it. And a few times I got caught drawing on the wall. So they knew they had to keep me filled with a lot of art supplies to,
Gotcha.
his brain.
So what were mom and dad, and where did you grow up? Where were you born and raised? Like, what did your parents do? And I'm asking that to say, was there any influence early, like either one of them artists or anything like that?
No. And I really didn't have a lot of my father, because my parents separated when I was very young.
Okay.
And my sister and I had visitation for a period of time, but when my parents separated, we went to stay with our grandparents.
Okay.
And they were very nurturing.
Okay.
My grandfather was like a father.
Gotcha.
And I got a lot of encouragement from them. And it was my grandmother that put the first paintbrush in my hand to paint the house.
Put your
So
work first.
yeah, well, I mean, but it was fun. She kind of made it fun, and it was easy to do, you know, it just, and she was someone who liked a lot of change. So my sister and I would help her move furniture almost weekly. And oh, I don't like that color anymore. We're going to change it. You know, stand still. We're going to paint it. You know, so that was the beginning of my painting, but nobody else was doing art per se. And during these same formative years, I also had a thing for music. Kind of naturally, I would play by ear. My grandmother had a parlor grand piano, and I would just start playing piano, and in a little bit, I started taking lessons. I ended up taking lessons for 7 years, and they thought I was going to be a concert pianist. And I was pretty good. I was pretty good. You know, I was doing the whole keyboard kind of compositions. And only thing is, I hated playing in front of other people. Doing recitals and all of that, I couldn't stand it. I was like, I was a nervous wreck. And I was just very insecure about it, but I was always drawing. You know, so that pretty much took over. And when it was time to move on to education, I didn't go to college for art, but I did go to the Fashion Institute of Technology in New York City. I was born in New York, and when my mom remarried, we moved to Connecticut, New Haven, Connecticut, and then I came back to New York to go to FIT.
Okay, what part of New York?
I was born in Mount Vernon.
Okay. You know you gotta shout it out because there's gonna be somebody, you know, we don't hear them, but anytime you say something about New York, Mount Vernon, money on it, Mount Vernon, you know, they go crazy.
Exactly, that's what they used to call it. You know, Denzel came from there, Heavy D came from there, Al B. Sure, Ozzie Davis, Ruby D. So this little four-square.
Say Heavy D?
Yeah, Heavy D. I actually did a portrait of him.
Oh wow!
I did. And it was a cool experience, but yeah, that's where I grew up for a period of time before moving to Connecticut and then coming back to Manhattan to go to school. But while I was in FIT, and I only chose that because I really didn't think I could make a living doing art, which was, you know, my passion all the time. I was even living in an apartment at one point, a rental apartment where I painted a mural on the wall. And of course, the landlord wasn't too happy about that.
They didn't know what they had. Shoot, they couldn't. What?
Yeah, well, that was an experience and a half. It was kind of cool. I was doing it. But anyway, back to the New York experience. When I was going through this training, and I majored in fashion design because I do like fashion and I would draw it. And I probably should have majored in fashion illustration versus fashion design. But it was not a good fit. FIT was not a good fit for me. And after I would do my homework, I was still back to my painting and drawing. So, you know, I went through the program and all that, feeling very unfulfilled. And it was maybe a couple of years after I finished, if that, I got a wrong phone number from this guy who wanted to sell some concert tickets. And I was unemployed at the time. And he was calling to speak to obviously wrong person. And, you know, he apologized for interrupting me. And I said, well, that's okay. I'm just drawing. Oh, you're an artist? That started an hour-long conversation because he turned out to be the chairman of the film department at the School of Visual Arts, which was across town from me.
Wow.
And he invited me to come and check out the school. Not so much as a student per se, but since I was unemployed, he suggested that I speak to his friend who was the model registrar, and I ended up being an artist model. So I did that. That was in my early 20s, and I did that for a few years. It supported me.
Yeah.
And I was working my tail feathers off. I would be there from 9 o'clock in the morning till 11 o'clock at night and posing.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, but I was also paying attention.
Right.
Because I'm standing there. I really did have to do a journey out of the body experience, because, to stand there with no clothes on, people staring at you is a little weird.
Right. Right.
But I felt like, it's an artistic environment, and, I can do this.
Not to go too far off topic, but I'm just too much of a heterosexual man not to say that as beautiful as Toni still is, 20-something Toni as a model, I never had models like you when I was in school, and I'm mad about that. Did nobody look like you when I was in school, doggone it. We had some other models. We had them folk that looked like they didn't take baths. We had them folk with them dirty feet. We had them, oh my gosh. This is going to be conversational if you with me. So I can remember the worst model I ever had. And I hate to say it because I don't mind different body types. I was never that guy in class that wouldn't draw just because the woman wasn't fine, or, like I said, I'm a straight dude, but I'm going to draw the dude just like I'm going to draw the woman. I'm going to draw every part. I'm going to get it all because I'm there to draw, damn it. I'm here to get the anatomy. That's the whole way you're going to get better. And when you stop seeing body parts as body parts and start seeing them as shapes, form, texture, everything else you do gets better. You can draw anything, and that's what real artists understand. So anyway, I just remember I had this model, and it was so scary to me because it was a sister, it was a Black lady, and this is in New York at Pratt. Because for those who don't know, I'm just saying this to my audience. For those who don't know, obviously I'm a visual artist and many other types of artists now that I'm an actor and stuff. Because at different points in my life, people now only think, "Oh, you draw too?" Yeah, that's most of my life.
And that's you behind you.
Yeah, that's some of me a little bit, yeah. And even the binder, my billboard there. But no, like this lady, she was sitting there looking so sad, and she was a heavy sister, and she's sitting on a bench. It was a very simple pose. It wasn't like a hard to hold pose. And for whatever reason, sometimes a model, they'll lock eyes with you and they'll just look at you while you draw it, or at least she did. And she started crying. That creeped me the hell out because I'm trying to focus and I felt so bad. Like I couldn't even draw, you know what I'm saying? So like, yeah, we had that. And then occasionally we would have, I think the best models we ever had were always the elders. I mean, there'd be these old ladies that you could tell took yoga all their life and could hold anything. Anything. There was a lady who did an upside down pose with her legs like this against a wall for an hour.
Wow.
I swear, she was into some trance yoga for real. Like, I ain't never, I ain't never seen them like that. Anyway, I'm off topic, but it's funny. There we go. I made you laugh, so I'm good. So
yeah, well, it was exercise.
Yeah.
I can speak for that firsthand. And I learned, I do really salute that woman for holding that pose, because I learned early on that some of the poses I would take that I would think they're so artistic, and you got to hold it for an hour or 2 or 3. And it's like, it's not a good idea.
Right.
Do it, and it's like isometrics, and I was getting gunned. I was toning up. I was doing all of that. So it had some side benefits. One of the side benefits, back to art, that I would take my drawings and paintings into some of the instructors. I became friends with some, and I just wanted to get their opinion. Like, am I on the right track? Do I have, do I have talent? Do I have potential, something? And there were some that actually said it's probably a good thing you didn't go to art school.
What? Wow.
Because they felt that whatever I was doing, it was natural. And because I did notice, it was not a negative comment.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't a negative comment. It was a compliment.
All right.
Because one thing I noticed going to so many different classes was that it could be kind of confusing for some students, where there were instructors that would say, this is how you have to do this. This is the only way, stay in this box. And then you got somebody else over here saying the same thing. And I'm like, huh? That would kind of confuse me.
Yeah.
So, you have all kinds of dynamics. Hey, they're human.
Right.
So they're going to teach from their perspective and never mind whatever else. Whereas if I could fast forward to, more recent times, if I've done a workshop, I will quickly tell someone there's always more than one way to do a thing.
Yeah.
Always more than one way.
That's right.
You have proven methods, but you might find a way that works for you. And what makes that wrong?
Right.
Really, what makes it wrong? As long as it comes out right.
Come on. Did you ever teach also? Because I said, did you ever teach also? Because I know you'd be an amazing teacher. Have you ever taught?
Workshops, not in a formal setting as in a school situation, not like that. But yeah, it was very good from there. And I ended up working with one of the artists there. He was an illustrator by the name of Charles Lilly, a successful Black illustrator.
Okay.
May not know his name, but if you look back, I mean, he's done work that I know you've seen.
Oh yeah, I bet.
Know you've seen. He did a lot of commercial art. He was not so much a fine artist.
Okay.
But he did a cover for a Malcolm X book, Malcolm X autobiography.
The famous painting on that? The one.
Well, there have been a few, but right. he did one.
There was one on the paperback that I had when I read it. That's like Malcolm's face real big, and then there's like a montage of like the cities that he grew up in and some other stuff at the bottom of it. Is that the one maybe?
I think so.
It's Charles Lilly. I'm looking him up on my phone now because I gotta be sure. But that's a legend. Yeah, you was working with a legend because I think I know.
He absolutely was, and
he's gone. He's transitioned.
We've been out of touch. I honestly.
He's still alive.
This is many. This is decades ago.
That's him. I looked him up on my phone. That's him.
Okay.
That's the one did that painting. Yeah. I don't know if anybody gonna be able to see that on my phone.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's a classic dude right there. I used to stare at that for hours, and it was like probably as big as my phone on a paperback that I read when I had to read it in high school. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, he had just lost his then assistant. And he needed somebody new. He saw potential in me, and he asked me to be his assistant. So I stopped modeling, and I started working for him for about 2 years. Gotcha. And with that, I learned the business of art.
Yes.
So it was hands-on training, learning how to deal with clients, the importance of reference, deadlines, billing, all those kind of things that artists really don't want to think about. So, that's what we did. And for a good bit of that, I would do his underpaintings, and then he would kind of dance on top of it and sign his name. So, yeah. And we did some movie posters and various projects where he got really good recognition, but I felt like I was being paid to learn.
Yeah.
So, no fault, no foul. And after a couple of years, I wanted to spread my own wings. I wanted to do my thing. And I've always loved fantasy and sci-fi.
And I know we're going there, but before you transition into that, because I had that coming, but I wanted to ask you this. When you talk about, because as soon as you brought that up about you were doing the underpaintings, I just want to explain to people who don't understand that process in the whole process. First of all, was it like oil paintings, acrylic? What were most of his media? What was he working in mostly?
Well, before I started working with him, I would say maybe 90% of his artwork was acrylic.
Okay.
And he had his own particular style, which you saw in that Malcolm portrait. Okay. And I had a sensibility for acrylics, but I was at home with oils. Right. So he actually transitioned to oils so that we could work better together.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So it would be his underdrawing, and then you would do the underpainting on top of his drawing. Am I correct? Okay.
I would do the drawings too.
You're telling too much.
I mean, not on every project, but he didn't say no a lot to the commissions that were coming in. So deadline. Yeah. Got to get it done. Yeah. And we just worked in sync in the best way you know, to get the product done. And yes, there were times that he would work on something, I was working on something. So he would ask me to take it as far as I could take it. And then he would, you know, do his thing on top of it, sign it, sell it, move on to the next. So it was a very interesting process.
Yeah.
But I learned.
Wow.
And yeah, so and yes, underpaintings are definitely a part of how I work. I know there are some artists that, you know, one layer, boop, 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 they're done.
Right.
And I like to build up in layers.
Yeah.
You know, just do glazing and whatnot to kind of push it and pull it and make it what I want it to be.
Yeah. When I've done oil, and I've done it all, oil, acrylics, everything, but as much as I loved oil, I was never as comfortable in it as you are. So I always admire artists that kept going in oil once they got a love for it like you, because it's so time consuming with the drying process between layers. That drove me crazy. Like, I love the look, but I could never get, and also the other thing that spoiled me about acrylic, you know, it's like when I first discovered acrylic, I felt like a jazz artist, like a Miles Davis, going from traditional jazz, straight no chaser, to all of that experimental stuff he was doing right before he died. Like some other artists hated him for, like, man, what's Miles doing, man? What is that bull? You know, it's like, but it's kind of like, that's how I looked at acrylic. It was like, it's more colorful. It's plastic. I tell people all the time, it's liquid plastic. You know, it's liquefied plastic. You got the mediums mixed with the pigment, but the mediums are different variations of plastics. And you know what I'm saying? Different hardness, different whatever. So like when I got into that, I always loved bright color. And I could never get away from the fact that no matter what, oil has always got a subtle, natural, you know, I mean, there are some bright oils. I'm not saying that there aren't bright colors you can find, but they're never going to be as bright as acrylic per se. Just something about the way that artificial blend works versus the more traditional all in. It's kind of like organic paint versus GMO paint. GMO was winning in my heart. I can't help it. But where I was still natural, like I was half organic and half GMO, was, and some people are gonna laugh at this, like, well, dang, that's kind of harsh. Don't call it GMO. But, but I know, right? But it's like, but for me, it was like color pencil, and especially color pencil was still my organic sense, because with color pencils, there's still a wax element, and that with the pigment, I had control, and I just love that control. So I would do a lot of my underpaintings in like gouache or watercolor, and then go on top.
Okay.
Yeah, that became my favorite way of working, to be able to still do what you do in terms of total lightness, with which you still are like on some other stuff that whenever I look at how much you've done, I'm just like, man, the last time I did work like that, it wore me out. It took a year. It just wore me out. It was like my hand was hurting, everything, you know what I'm saying? So when I see y'all who just sacrifice body, mind, heart, everything, and keep going, I'm like, that's everything. Y'all doing it. Y'all the truth, you know. So okay, you were about to explain how you got into you expressing your love for science fiction and fantasy and all those elements.
Yeah, absolutely. If you hear a little noise in the background, that's one of my cats trying to get some attention.
In the picture, you know how that's gonna get. That'll get us more likes immediately when you put a cat in it. Boy, it's like cute kids, cats, pretty woman, girl. We going viral. Let's go. Come on, pretty cat.
Yeah.
Yeah, hold it up. Let's see the cat. Go ahead. It's cool. Yeah. You got two. Look at tiger stripes. That's a big. Is it a boy or a girl?
It's a boy.
I was gonna say most of them like that are boys.
Sadly, he's starting to decline.
Oh.
And I'm not sure he's gonna make it out this year. Like when Buddha passed away, he was the youngest and had no signs of illness whatsoever. In 3 minutes, I watched him die.
Damn.
I don't know if it was heart attack, stroke, or what, but you know, and it was nothing I could do. He just had a seizure and he was gone.
Yeah.
So Phoenix here, I named him Phoenix actually because I had a cat in New York for 18 years, whose name was Gypsy, and Gypsy would actually travel with me.
Okay.
And when it was his time, you know, we were so close. I said, "You find a way to come back to me. Come back to me." You know, and then 3 years later, I had moved to Florida. I met an artist who had a cat who had kittens, and I was ready to care for another fur ball.
Yeah.
So we met. I looked in his eyes, and I knew it was Gypsy.
That's the
Come
one.
back. So Phoenix rising from the ashes.
Oh yeah, there it is. I love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So I'm just trying to give him a lot of love right now, since he is showing signs of decline. So
how many years is he?
he's 16.
Goodness, you raised some cats.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a little handful, you know, and my middle child is Spirit. So it's Phoenix, Buddha, and Spirit.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
So okay, speaking of all that, you know, Phoenix, ancient wisdom, the metaphysics, the sci-fi, the fantasy, bring us into how that is what it is to you, because that's what we all about.
Oh, what it is to me. Well, my feet are on terra firma, but my head is with other possibilities, you know.
Even the name Star Child, did you pull that from being a Parliament fan, or was that even before Parliament?
Well, I was a Parliament fan, but it wasn't from Parliament.
Okay.
Like all of that. No, it wasn't from there. It was actually a song called Star Child by a group named Level 42.
Oh, okay.
And that came out was early 80s, I think. And the lyrics in it, it's a pop song, but the lyrics in it, I just resonated. I'm just a star child born in space. And I'm like, that's me, you know, and I vowed to myself, if I ever had a business or something that I had to give a title to, it was going to be Star Child. Yeah. So, you know, and we all are star seeds. We're all made up of star stuff. Okay. You know, as Neil deGrasse would even tell you. So, yeah, I love things to do with the universe, science, cosmology, astrology, all of the ologies.
Known and unknown.
Known and unknown. And the unknown is more fascinating.
That's right. That's right.
There's always something new to discover. You know, actually today I just saw an image where they were actually able to photograph a black hole event horizon. It was not a computer graphic, but you know, they've got all kinds of technology up there that they don't tell us about. Right. But you know, there was a shot of the black hole, and I'm like, And to me, when it comes to science and all that kind of stuff, you know, for so many years we would just keep hearing about the Big Bang, you know, as if it was nothing, and then all of a sudden, boom. Boom. Right. No. You know, and there's some well-known scientists who are finally saying, no, it was not that. You know, it wasn't everything from nothing. Black holes are portals to other universe. So, you know, that's where if there's a bang, it's something being birthed from something else. Because, you know, the universe is nothing if it's not creativity. All right. You know, and that is what the you know, we call it God, you know, to give it name. I'm not getting religious here, but you know we're not, or at least I'm not, so you can speak freely, you know. Okay. Well, the universe, straight up, God force, and the all that is, it's a constant motion of birth, rebirth, death, rebirth, you know, renewal and all that. So that is the universe that we live in. Yeah. And we are not at the apex of the spectrum as beings, you know. There's some out there that's way far beyond us. And all that kind of stuff just fascinates me. And I'm going to use that as a segue for these two paintings back here. I was waiting on you. I was going to ask you at some point to let me see that one right behind your pretty hair, because that's beautiful. I don't know which one, but anyway, if I can, well, I'll grab this one
Okay.
and bring that in a little bit closer.
Wow, wow, wow.
And this is a piece that I call the Cosmologist. And I started a series. I've only gotten 4 done so far.
Okay.
Oops. But anyway, a series that I call the Alien Magi. So if we think of Magi from biblical sense, you know, the 3 wise men, the kings that came to visit the baby in the manger and bring gifts and so forth. So in my mind, my imagination, imagine these ascended masters, these beings from other worlds, giving us gifts of their knowledge, their philosophy, so that we can evolve and ascend a bit higher than we are.
Okay.
So cosmologists, study of cosmology, everything that has to do with the universe, this being would know that and be able to share that information. The one next to it that I call the Seer with the blue hands, there's actually eyes in the palm of the hand. So it's about having that sense of I see you, I see through you, I see all there is, past, present, future, because there really is no time. So there's that, and then I have another one that I call the Mystic. So there's more that will come to be. That's something I don't see as a, you know, a limited collection.
Beautiful. So that both of those pieces are within this year or last year or what? Like
both.
This year.
This year and last year.
Oh,
yeah, the idea came to me last year.
That's what's up. I love it already. I mean, I love everything you do. I mean, you can't go wrong. If paintbrush hits canvas, I know it's off the chain when you speak. I just wait for the results. I know it's amazing. So tell them about your expression and homage to Kobe behind you too, because I know people are gonna see that and say, "Whoa."
Yeah. Well, we know that he identified with the Black Mamba serpent. And I was able to, you know, through pouring through reference photos, I found a position of him, you know, with that, and then just have the Black Mamba kind of morphing out of his arm, out of his hand. And instead of a basketball, he's holding a planet, a world.
The whole world loved him.
That's the whole world. He's just kind of sweeping through the universe. His spirit is there.
The whole world loved him, so that's what's up.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you. Wow, wow. And you just did that one just to express your feelings about what had happened, or?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, I hope by people seeing that you'll get a call soon from this video, like, got to have it. How much? I need that, please. You know, so
that would be amazing. I have the original and prints.
There you go. There you go. And just to put people in the right headspace of what your work is worth, knowing that, I will say this before you give me that answer, work can go up in cost at any time and should, because the artist always deserves whatever the hell we say it is. Because I know people want to think, no, it's what we say it is, and trust me, it's worth more than that. We just got to give y'all something so that we can survive. You know?
Yeah. and now even more so, you know, especially when folks are out of work and losing their income.
And PUA ain't started yet. Don't get me on my, now I'm gonna be on my soapbox. But anyway.
Yeah, we don't know where things are going. You know, if we're headed into a recession or not headed, you know,
we know.
It's
I know, right?
Yeah, that's more than a soapbox, man.
Yeah.
Soapbox.
We'll pull back. We hit enough. We got to go.
Yeah.
So how much?
All I have to say that, you know, if somebody really loves something that I do, then I'm certainly willing to cut them a break for it. And my prints, you know, that's something for everybody. They're only $20. Exactly. So that's doable.
So a piece like one of the Alien pieces, for example, what would be your range?
My range outside of COVID, these would probably be around the 1,200-1,500 mark. Now maybe a little less.
Yeah,
because we all have to look out for each other. So yeah, I would be happy to share that, because I'm going to do more. I'm going to do more.
Always. Yeah. And I want to say too, I'm very proud to say that I'll never forget. Anytime people have sold work at ONYXCON, I'm like, because I mean, being a visual artist first, I know what that is to get anything sold. So when you told me that you had we made you a special guest at ONYXCON because you already had helped me with what's behind me. I want to shout that out. Or I make sure I don't forget to mention that my first ever indie short, Miss Toni did the official image for the movie poster, which honestly I haven't even made into posters yet. Never. I was going to do that like with this next ONYXCON. Yeah, but
one day at a time.
Yeah, right. It'll happen when it's supposed to. Because the other part of it I've learned about doing this whole acting thing is, right now the audience they might appreciate the image, but they're not gonna understand the depth of my career and everything else that goes with it until I become some star. It's like I always say, I'm already a star. Like you say, we all stardust anyway. But when they wake up and see me on the right thing, and I get that big part, the big break, as they say, then they'll be like, "Oh man, how much can I get one of them posted yet?" Then I can start all that, Right. But yeah, Toni did that. And let me hold it close to my camera so people can understand how amazing you are. Because when I say she got me, oh my gosh, the first time you sent me a close-up of you in progress painting my face, and what messed me up the most, Toni, is that the image you showed, you didn't even do the background first. Like the way I work and the way a lot of artists I know that do portrait work like I do and you do, we'll start with the background first. But as I recall, the background wasn't filled in yet. You just had my head damn near done. Like I'm photorealistic, and there was nobody. I was like, how did she paint around my head? And
carefully.
Say what? What'd you say?
Just carefully.
You are amazing. I'm just like, what kind of hand does this woman have? Like, who does that? Who paints this first? And you know who else does that? Or at least in some of his, because I think he does both. I think he does both, back and forth.
I do both. Back and front. Typically, typically I do work back to front. But there are times, especially for portraiture, where that's the money shot right there. And I might do that just because I feel like it. At given time, it's like, okay, I want to make sure this face looks like who it's supposed to look like. So, and then the rest, it's just like you're an actor. You got your star and you got your supporting actors. So, I want to go into the star, and then the rest, they become supporting actors. You sure did it. Oh my gosh, you got me. I've had a few portraits of me in my life, but that's the focus. And it's fun. And it's not the last time we work together. I'm saying that on camera. I know you know it, but I will be coming to you again as I grow. I have many plans to keep utilizing it's funny because when I made the transition into this world, I tell people I kind of hung up my samurai sword, my different African ceremonial axes, my swords and brushes, my pencils, and everything. I kind of hung it up, and it became like its own altar in my heart. And I always say it probably will come back, but for whatever reason, I just totally transitioned to this other type of art I always wanted to do, but never thought I'd have the opportunity to do when it came to So through people like you that I admire so much, y'all become my new hand when I get an idea and I don't have time to do that no more. Like, I just want to see it done right on the kind of level I know I would put into it, or even better. And that's why I call y'all. So thank you. Thank you. It's welcome. And I do thank you for that last ONYXCON I participated in, because I had a very sweet sale. I was going to say, go back to that. I had just finished a painting. It was just at the point of being dry. And yes, I can make oils dry overnight. Look at it. Too. Yes, I do. I know how to do that. But anyway, it was a painting that I call Ajay, and she is a Yoruba goddess of prosperity. And I actually put gold leaf into the artwork. And someone came in and they just kept staring at it. I'm like, yeah, okay. Right. But he and his wife stepped up and said, we want this. You ready now? That's what I'm talking about. $3,000. Say that again for him. $3,000. Y'all heard it. Artists, when I say y'all need to be at ONYXCON,
You know, because you gotta wake them up. People be sleeping. They don't understand what we do. We bring that, and you're not the first person to sell. I mean, you're one of few when it comes to folk on that level. I mean, as far as everything else, yeah, I don't even know the numbers because I've done over the years a survey with all my vendors, which is average of 30 plus vendors every time we've done an event for over 10 years. You know what I'm saying? This would have been ONYXCON 12. Well, it still is ONYXCON 12. We're just not doing the formal physical event, but we still kicking and doing it online. But anyway, you know, like we've had work selling the art show before. And again, it was always in the thousands. I think the first time it was like $2,000 on a piece, you know, something like that. So I always tell people, I'm like, do not sleep when I give you these invitations because the art show is by invitation only. And even to be behind a table is a review process. You know, you don't just get in. It's just like what you were talking about earlier with the artist group online. We want the best of the best and we want everybody's head in the right place if we're going to commingle because we don't have time for no silliness. We want the bomb, you know, and we get the bomb. So yeah, like, and I always tell people, like, when you get those invites, because there's some people I've reached out to, and I know they kind of sleep, and then later on they look back like, oh, can I still do this with you? We said you could come. You need to come on and stop playing. Yeah. So that's what's up. So yes, the metaphysical and all of that. We didn't really hit so much on that. I mean, I know you do. I mean, it's in what you got behind you too, like the ancient wisdom and all of those different symbolism and everything. How did that start for you? And like what life experiences put that in your work? Because you walk with it. I mean, you got on your crystal right now. I see, you know, and I know that about you. I just want to share it. Yeah, you know. And what type of crystal is that, by the way? What's that?
It's a quartz.
Words.
Quartz crystal wrapped in copper.
Got you.
Yeah, this is a gift from a very dear friend. I like to wear a lot. Turn the channel slightly. I make jewelry now too.
Put that on it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I make jewelry by hand. I use you know, precious stones, crystals, and things like that for energy.
Yes.
All one of a kind. You know, bracelet, earrings, necklace, waist chain, whatever. So I do all that.
Access to any onyx in your collection right now? Any pieces of onyx?
No, not onyx. I've done hematite.
Not yet, because when I need an onyx piece, I know who to call now. Because I've been needing that for years now. At one time, I was a little closer to that world. My ex, she made jewelry. So, or should I say my former? I use that word a little more commonly because it's a little more what she is. You know, I still respect the person. She was an amazing artist, you know what I'm saying? But she made jewelry and introduced me to how that world was. And I tell you, it's like when you go to those gym shows, I ain't got to tell you, you know how it is. Like, you see the other world that a lot of people don't know. For one thing about what things are valued at, they're still what they're worth. But you can buy a hell of a lot more when you're around a bunch of people who are just like, I had that thing since 1960. You want to buy that dinosaur bone with crystals growing out of it? You're like, what? This thing is for sale? Like, it's insane. Like, what? I mean, you know, giant pieces of opal and all this. I mean, incredible stuff that, you know, when you see it up close, it's like the average person has been, you know, pressed to think diamonds are it. But no, you have no idea how much else. I mean, if that's just where you want to keep your mind, but there's so many other stones and gems that when you see this stuff, it's like, yo, I don't want to get too far off topic, but did you see, because it's on Netflix right now, and like I said, you know, I'm going to keep this conversational. It makes it more fun. Did you see Adam Sandler's Uncut Gems on Netflix?
No, I haven't seen that yet.
Oh my gosh. With my man from Get Out, forget my names right now. The brother's awesome. The one who did the line in Get Out, when he said Get Out. You've seen Get Out, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
The actor who did the famous line, the one who was the first brainwashed brother that they were holding captive. But anyway, I can't believe I'm just forgetting my name right now.
Don't worry about it. I know
everybody knows who I'm talking about. But he's in the movie too. But they had, and it was based in the 90s, and they had I'm about to forget another name. Legendary basketball star. I'm tripping right now, but everybody's laughing at me. I know, like, man, you know who that is. Anyway, I won't give away the plot, but there was an opal in the film that was considered special. And it was kind of making that point in the movie, like, you know, before we tripping about diamonds and stuff, like, this opal was everything to him. He had to have it. He wanted to buy it from Sandler, and it was a hot mess of other stuff going on with him and his gambling and debts he had and stuff. And you had to see it. I think, if you like, yeah, check it out. but it's kind of relative to what I'm saying about just when you know that world. So that's awesome.
It is, and there's so much beauty in the earth.
So much, so much. That I think, and that's the other point I'm making too. Like when you see that kind of stuff, then you understand the possibilities. Like when you say there's got to be other planets, yeah, like that's like anybody who's woke. That's not even a debate. It's silly to even be sitting around talking about. You think there's anything else out there? Are you crazy? Like, and even the concept of distance and the fact that we don't see it. Yeah, because you're millions.
We're limited.
And we're on our human stuff. Like we got these words, we got these terminologies, we got this science based on our experience. Talking about millions. Well, somewhere else, a million might be one in their language. What we call, you know what I'm saying? What we call a million is just one in our language.
We're like children on the scale, toddlers.
Oh gosh.
Toddlers. So we have a long way to go. But by the same token,
right.
there have been other life forms, other beings on this planet. You know, never mind those who think it's only 5,000 years old, and then there's the flat earthers and all that. And like, anyway,
I'm sorry, the earth is gonna forever be a ball to me, and it's not just because I'm lost or anything. It's because it makes sense, and I still see the sun and the moon every day. And I'm sorry, you just can't do that to me. I'm sorry.
No, you can't. But you know, if we can go back to what some consider legend, which we know is not legend when you think of lands of Lemuria, Mu, Atlantis, you know, that crystals and things of that nature were power.
Yeah.
They were energy. And what are they putting now in our cell phones? Crystals, you know?
Right.
Put 50 billion gigabyte somethings on these little teeny tiny things that contain all this information, you know? And granted, it was sci-fi fantasy, but Superman, wasn't he given, you know, crystals that contained all of this information?
Yep. The links to other wisdom is there. You just got to keep digging to know where people are coming from. You know what I'm saying? And I just compliment artists who don't mind making it such a mystery, because I don't think any of it should be that much of a mystery. I think it does us no favors if we keep it so mysterious. We need to let more folk broaden their damn horizons so that we can understand the value of ourselves, our planet, just all of that. You know what I'm saying? And make and when you have to make decisions, like, you know, I'm not gonna, you know, I'm not like I said, I'm not religious, so I'm not a Buddhist in the sense of how I know some people would say, you know, I wouldn't kill an ant or whatever. Hey, I'm not even gonna lie to myself. If I go outside on this hot summer Georgia day, I'm stepping on probably 100 ants a day and don't even know it. So that happens. But like you said, also, there's also rejuvenation. There's cycles. Somebody else is happy I stepped on the ant because that's an easy meal. Something else is, you know what I mean? It's like it's nothing's in waste. It's gonna fertilize something. It's gonna get back to where it needs to be. You know, the point is not to destroy when you don't have to.
Yeah.
Or take when you don't have to. Like, you know, I'm a fisherman. I grew up hunting, especially fish, and I definitely hike. I really don't hunt anymore, but I mean, well, yeah, I do. I always say, hell, I'm water fit for hunting. I mean, I can't lie to myself. Fishing is hunting.
Fishing is hunting. Yeah.
I enjoy it, and I have no shame in it. But I have such a respect for the animals that I pull in, and I also, you know, I catch and release when it's too little, when it's not legal, when it's something I didn't want, and if it's something I wanted, oh yeah, I'm going to eat it because it becomes me. So, you know, every fish.
Yeah, not hang it up on the wall.
Well, I do that too, but when I do that, I've eaten it. I mean, you get what I'm saying? My dad does taxidermy, so if he does that for me, I'm quick to tell anybody, oh, you're one of those guys. Yeah, and it tastes good, and it fed me for a week during quarantine.
Yeah. Under those circumstances, I totally get it. For folks going out there killing elephants,
no, that's bullshit.
To take their tusk and, you know, or a foot, a gorilla paw.
Right, and talking about medicinal something, magical. See, this is what, and that's why, you know, even with the mystical element, we got to be careful because we can get into but that one thing gives me this power. So you'll kill 200 million people just to extract certain stones from the earth, just to control the whole territory, just to kill all the animals so that you can feel like you got that power. No. See, that's the other stuff. So, no, I feel you.
There's no respect for the earth, for Mother Gaia.
Come on.
You know, and that's something that I really feel should start in kindergarten. You know, that's where they kind of go wrong. They go off the rails, giving us this stuff in books, and half of it's not true. In terms of history and things that are supposed to be important in our lives that we never use. But how about life skills? How about understanding the planet that you're living on?
Yeah.
You know, do things that are sustainable.
That's right.
And nourishing.
That's
you know,
right.
let that pass on from generation to generation. We've lost that. You know, the indigenous all around the world, not just the Native Americans here, you know, the Aboriginal cultures, you know, ancient Asian cultures and African cultures. It was all about the earth.
That's it.
And we've lost that in the name of the freaking dollar.
That's it. That's it. The oldest of anybody's cultures, I always say the oldest of any human being's cultures understood that. European, Native American, it don't matter. If they're the oldest folk, they knew what time it was. It's just, you know, it's the blessing and the curse of being young. You come up with so many wise things, but the youngest in an experience, the youngest in life, you know, it's just that foolish state. I mean, anybody can look back at your own life and say, boy, the stuff I did when I was young, what? I'm lucky to be here, you know, for some things you did, you know what I mean? So I look at it like that with human experience too. It's just like you got a lot of people, they're young in spirit, they're young in their place in development as a culture, whatever. And that's why you've been doing some real heinous stuff that sometimes you don't get a chance to do it over. You just got to deal with the result, you know? So.
Yeah, and their children and children's children deal with that result, you know, and pay that price, you know. And I kind of wish we were like Benjamin Button, that you know, we come in with, you know, some age and wisdom that we can use as we move forward. But the system is not geared that way.
Right. You about to get me on so many things right now. Oh my God. But you know, I am going to say it just because I think somebody needs to hear it, and it's on my heart. I was just going to say that, you know, and like I say, I'm divorced, but like the greatest thing about the way my situation went, I used to feel when I first went through that, I was like, man, oh man, I regret all that time. And I said, no, I don't regret nothing, because even though I'm older, the fact that I've taken care of myself and the way I am health-wise and other things, and I, you know, ain't nobody perfect, but I'm doing pretty good. I mean, I still fool most people. They think I'm younger, and I know you one of them, you know. And so it's like, yeah, I can go into dating with a whole nother way about it. Like, it just, like, things that other people are tripping off of, like, so I got to be married by this age. I got to have kids. It's like, no, I don't have to ever do those things. But I do have to be a great person and contribute a legacy, okay? A legacy that is going to inspire forever. Like, you know, that's it. So like, yeah, I'm all for, you know, it doesn't matter how old you are. I mean, if you just getting older, but you ain't learning and advancing and maturing for real, to give back something that's going to really make a better place for everybody and everything else around you. You know, I mean, you ain't learning from your mistakes. You just doing shit, you know. Even when you older, so you know. But yeah, so I love the fact that there are those few of us who are like Benjamin Button. So word up. Let me see. I wanted to ask you, in terms of doing portraiture, like, did you ever do anything more? Yeah. Well, it's the first word that pops in my mind. There's so many other words in my art vocabulary, but anything more abstract? I mean, or anything a little more, just any of the other quote unquote genres of work? Because anybody, you know, who would select your work would say, oh, it's figurative, it's science fiction. But did you ever get into anything else that somebody would look at and say, I can't even believe that's Toni. Did Toni do that? You know, but yeah, that's part of your journey too.
Yeah, it's sprinkled in there, you know, little pepper in the salt. Not a lot, because this is what I love to do. And even if it's an alien, I still want it to represent in some fashion, not like, you know, some Star Trek blob. Like, okay, it's an intelligence, but it's kind of like, oh.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have done some abstracts. It's just not where my artistic heart lies.
Gotcha.
But I do different disciplines. Granted, oil is my mainstay, my love, my first love. You mentioned doing the jewelry. I like to make copper wire sculptures, just twisting wire, making trees and nature spirits out of that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, give me some toothpicks. I'll make something out of it.
And won't nobody know it's toothpicks at first. They'll be like, oh my gosh. So that's what's up. Okay, I feel you. And in terms of doing portraits, like, I mean, you obviously, like you say, it's what you love. You're comfortable with it. I mean, completely comfortable. Like one of the when I do the flyer for this to promote it, one of the images you sent me that I think I'm going to end up using, it's such a photograph. It's like I literally had to look at that like, wait a minute, did she send me the reference, or is it that's a painting? Like, whoa, the one with the black family holding the globe, like the globe's big. Yo, Tony, wow. I mean,
Yeah, that was actually a commission.
okay.
The person who commissioned me, his project is at a standstill now because of COVID, sadly. Because he was funding all of this out of his own pocket. But he is it maybe 20 years ago or something like that, he had a photographer. He didn't take the shot himself, but he commissioned a photographer and set up a scene of this couple, of this African couple, and he shot it, and he was selling posters, you know, just but he had been asked since then by galleries, well, we would love to have, you know, an original of that. If it wasn't just a photograph, we'd love to have an original painting of that. And then, so, you know, high-end, well, not lithographs, but clays.
Oh, G clays, yeah.
Clays, you know, like signed and numbered thing.
Word.
So we were going to work through a few images. He commissioned a couple of other artists to do some other pieces. There was going to be another one based on Moses, but this was the first one. And you know, he said, well, he sent me a picture, you know, of it, and he said, can you do that? I'm like, yeah, I can do this. You know, so it was a little time consuming, but I wanted to make sure I was as true to that photograph as possible, because that's what his galleries were asking for. Well, so he does have the original. He made a print, and then he also had some health issues, because I know he needs a kidney transplant. Oh, wow. But you know, it's just on standby for the time being. But you know, because I wanted to advertise that for him as well, because I get paid every time I sign something. Sure. But that was our arrangement. And you know, so that's where that came from.
Nice. Beautiful work. Beautiful work. Just you mentioned earlier that you had done work for Heavy D, like he actually.
Well, not for him. It was actually a Mount Vernon project, because at the time, excuse me, Mount Vernon wanted to create a hip hop museum. And, you know, different people that I could choose from, and Heavy D was one of the portraits that I put into a mural for it. So yeah. Vernon has the mural.
So did he see it himself? Do you know if he ever saw it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And his parents.
I'm sure he loved it. Oh, yeah, his parents. Nice. That's what's up. Word. Yeah. Rest in peace, Heavy D, man. Real legend. But let me see. I wanted to ask. I have my questions. This is why I'm looking down. I have my questions. And you've been killing them. I mean, like, I always love how that goes. I don't even have to ask sometimes. It's like you just knock out like 2 or 3 of them with one answer. So.
Well, I know we're turning channels a little bit here and there.
Yeah. So
see, I got my crystals nearby.
Okay.
A couple of them I keep close by.
Is that more quartz?
I have a big amethyst geode over here.
Nice. Those were quartz too, though, right?
Yeah, these are quartz.
Yeah, I kind of know quartz when I see it most of the time.
Yeah. Dug out from Arkansas.
Okay. Oh, there we go. So the places you lived and where the work took you. Let's talk about that, because I know you told me you had worked in Florida and you were doing movie set. Something, or was that you?
Not movie set. I was in the scenic industry.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Which scenic is used in film, but I was working mostly at Universal Studios and Disney as a scenic artist.
Wow.
And oftentimes, I mean, there's nothing glamorous about it. Oftentimes I was on construction sites, you know, out there with the ants, building it from the ground up, different areas of it, hard hat, steel toe boots, all the, you know, security stuff. And
Name some of the projects, the biggest projects you worked on, just to put people in the mind of what you do.
Harry Potter. I worked on both Harry Potter parks, and I learned how to drive high reach, you know, those big 40 and 60 foot high reach bucket things. Learned how to do that. Yeah, it was work. It was hard work.
I like nothing but work.
Paycheck, but it was labor. And I didn't need a gym. Because, you know, just imagine carrying 2 5-gallon buckets of paint around, you know, and walking on uneven terrain, and working with very nasty coworkers and porta potties and all of that. I mean, there was a dark side to that, let me tell you. And actually, one of the darkest sides of that was that it made me sick, and that's how I ended up here in Georgia. Because I was doing it for the better part of 11 years, but I was like the canary in the mine, and it woke up asthma. You know, I had a little bit of a problem when I was a child. I told you I was a sickly child. I had different allergies and whatnot, and occasionally some breathing issues, but through most of my adulthood, it wasn't a problem. But once I got into scenic and I was around a lot of toxic environments, the toxicity and the nasty coworkers and all kinds of crud being passed around. And I had to rely on this, which I keep nearby, because I never know when I'm going to need it. And I have to use that daily at this point. But I reached critical mass and I flatlined.
Oh, wow.
It wasn't pretty. And it was a experience I'll never forget. It was 4 years ago on a leap day. So it was February 29th, 2016. And I had an attack and my medicine didn't work. But I was able to text an SOS to a friend. This is late at night. Text an SOS to a friend. And fortunately, I hadn't closed my, excuse me, my patio door. So he and his partner were able to come in and call 911. And shortly after the paramedics got there, I was gone. That was an experience. And I knew I couldn't go back to doing what I was doing. And, you know, through that whole experience, I mean, I met some great people, had some good experiences, but it was kind of sucking out my juju in a sense that I wasn't able to work on what I love to do.
Right.
I was you know, a worker. I was a worker bee, and did what I had to do, and there was just nothing left as far as my own personal creativity. So after I recuperated from that thing, my sister, who lives up here, said that she wanted me to move to Georgia because all my friends in Florida were like, no, don't go. But I moved to Georgia, and she and I bought a house together, a 2-family house, and there was mold in the house that the inspector failed to find. So I had another attack.
Good gosh.
And had very similar experience. And she found me. I just texted her, I love you. And she found me out back as I went to sit out in the backyard thinking fresh air would help me. And, you know, I collapsed. So she found me out there.
Goodness. You've had 2 other side experiences.
Yep, 2 NDEs.
And did you, I mean, you know, people say they see the other side and what that is for them individually. Like for you, I mean, if this is too deep, we can skip it. But
no, it's part of my history.
Yeah, I'm just curious, like,
and all of that is what brings me here. So, you know, it's, you know, I can go there. It's like each time I had to start over. You know, I knew I couldn't do that kind of work again. So, you know, I just felt, you know, determined. It's like, well, I'm still here on the planet. I want to do what I love to do.
Yeah.
But it's been like starting from scratch,
Yeah.
you know, and twice starting from scratch, coming up, you know, to territory I didn't know anybody here except for her and a cousin. And, you know, trying to break back into the fine art arena, you know.
And I'm proud of that.
Thanks.
Real
So
proud.
I just, you know, I've just been diligent, and I spend probably 75% of my time, which is considerable, in the studio doing some kind of creativity. It's been my haven. It's been my haven. And because I don't know if or when, you know, that's going to take me out again. So I'm going to do what the hell I want to do. You know, even though I could get a job and all that, but I feel like I was, you know, brought to this planet for a reason.
That's right.
And that I survived those experiences for a reason.
Indeed.
And this is my gift, a gift that was given to me that I in turn want to share with the world.
Most definitely. Most definitely. And that you couldn't say it better. I mean, this is literally the epitome of what artists mean, because I know other artists who've been through similar stuff, and thank goodness I haven't been through anything like that. I hope I never have to, but
I hope you never do. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy.
Nah, but I have had my share of a couple of, you know, unexpected health issues that weren't something that, you know, are scary to the point where I think it would take me out if it ever to happen again. But in the moment, I wondered if I was going to be okay. Like, am I going to make it to tomorrow because of the pain I'm feeling, or even just emotional pain like that with different parts of life.
Yeah.
And then having a rebirth and realizing, yo, this is my purpose. And that, and like I said, even, you know, I had to go all the way back to that, but the quarantine situation just has made every artist I know realize, man, look, we ain't taking no more L's, period. Like, if this is what it could be too, like, we've been living this hard, but then you add this to it where everybody got to see that reality of, you know, you don't know if you're going to get it. So, you know, if there's ever, and there will be to a certain extent, a reboot, so to speak, when an artist says this is what it's worth, damn it, you're going to pay for what we here to do. Because this is bigger than just this money. The only reason we worried about the money is so that we can do what the hell we're here to do. That's it. Let us manifest. You'll thank us later. We are not going to die without all that waiting until the artist dies to make money. No, hell no. You go give me my roses, and I mean it. It's so serious right about now.
It is.
You know, real talk.
Yeah, we can laugh about it, but there's a very deep, serious side to it. And I think, you know, it's a plus. I mean, there's always going to be two sides of a coin, two sides of the sword.
Yeah.
And with this, you know, like I said, there's that fork, that dark side and the light side. It's like, okay, this is what you're given. What you're going to do with it?
Come on.
You know, are you going to take it to another level, or are you going to curl up in a ball and just, you know, wither? I'm a responsible person, so I can't do the withering thing. You know, I still got to keep a roof over my head. I still got a mortgage to pay, you know, and I'm committed to some degree, you know, to certain responsibilities. But my vehicle has to be my art.
Straight up.
That's it.
Yeah.
You were about to ask me, I think, before I went forward, about the experience, probably asking, did I see that tunnel? Is that what you were thinking?
Well, if you want to use that description, if that's what it was, tell me. I wasn't even going to say that because it's so cliche, because I'm always wondering if someone is going to say something different. But if it is that, I want to hear it, you know?
Well, no, I didn't.
Okay.
I wanted to come back with a story, and unfortunately, the first time I have no memory of anything. If any, I'm just grateful that my brain cells still work for the most part, except that my memory can be a little bit off, but that could be age too. But my memory was definitely a little bit different afterwards. So, you know, that the names and different things, like, I know that, but it's gone. That's honest. And the second time, it was a real journey out of the body. I did not see the light. I was going down a dark tunnel. It was freaky. It was really, really freaky that I felt like I was, The second time, I felt like I was going 1,000 miles an hour down a dark hole where I couldn't see anything, I couldn't feel anything, but I just felt like it was a downward thing, and it was just very, very dark.
Wow.
And what overcame me was that I just kept thinking, I don't want to hurt anybody. I don't want to hurt anybody. No, that's the only thing. And I somehow was able to slow this descent. And when I looked up, I saw like a pinpoint that opened up, and I could see an ambulance. I could see the lights. I was flying over asphalt, like as if I was trailing the ambulance.
Wow.
You know, there's like a hill that goes from my entrance to the front driveway, and I kind of felt like I was floating and just looking at it, you know, as a journey out of the body kind of thing. So, but it was terrifying. It left me in a really weird, you know, that I had.
You said that was the second one, but you said the first one, it was bright?
No, the first one, I have no memory of anything.
Gotcha. I got you.
You know, and apparently they had to work on me quite a bit to bring me back. They weren't sure if I was coming back.
That's heavy.
So, and I felt like I had done 10 rounds with Mike Tyson.
Oh my God.
You know, I guess the compression or whatever it is that they do on you. And I was like, oh my God, I hurt everywhere. Oh, you know, so, but here I am.
Sure.
Here I am.
And thank you, universe, for keeping her with us, for real talk. Yeah. Wow. So, I don't think any question going to add up to that one, but we're going to try. We're going to hit the mother low. But I was going to say, so I asked you about your process. Okay. Here's a good one, I guess. As a lady artist, just being a woman with the incredible amount of talent you possess, fair and unfair, how has that been for you? I mean, because I know you've been through some stuff just being who you are, you know, and being that talented, because unfortunately, you know, we in a world where, I'll just specifically say, it can be more, in my experience, for women in this American world of things with art to go through so much more hell. Whereas in some cultures, it's like, yo, if you're an artist, and we respect you no matter what your gender is, you know what I'm saying? But here it's like, oh, the girl did that, the woman did that. It's like, oh, she can, wow. And everybody's all shocked, like they think there's some gap between talent, like women can't be this amazing. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I know plenty of y'all, so I'm always like, tell them, show them. Like,
yeah, well, I would say on a whole in the art world, that a Caucasian male might have a leg up. But really that's not something that I bring into my scope. I don't. I've had some beautiful opportunities, and I've had some things not work out so well. Okay. But I don't like to look at it as because I'm a woman or a woman of color, you know, because somebody might throw that as a factor into it as well, you know, and race is the last thing I want to get on right now.
Don't worry about it.
But, you know, I think we all have something to bring to the table. Sometimes there's an artist whose stars are shining, and regardless of their talent level, they're hitting it and they're doing exceedingly well. And then there are some that are struggling and got, you know, talent up the yin yang. Yeah. You know, so we all have different journeys and have to work on them. I used to be guilty of comparison. You know, look at another artist's work and look at my work, and it's like, well, how come I'm not getting in there? You know, it's not a good place to be, and I avoid that. I avoid that, you know, but I had to recognize it in order to pull back from it, you know, because the only person that's going to bother is me, you know. So if there's anybody to compete against or compare, it's got to be me to me.
That's what's up. I love that.
You know, because nobody's walking in my shoes but me. Nobody's walking in their shoes but them.
Sweet.
And we all have our stories to tell.
And those who want or are meant to be our audience are the only ones we're making it for anyway.
Exactly. And if there was no audience, I would still be doing it.
Right. Because this is what I'm here to do. Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely. Word.
I really have a choice in the matter.
Love that. For real. Love that. Yes. So have you ever had to do anything else that wasn't artistic besides what you were just describing, where it was the other stuff involved with the artistic job, you know, building sets in Florida and stuff, or scenic in Florida? You know, what other, any other odd jobs that you just, I can't even believe I did that, but yeah, I used to have to do that. And I mean, you know, but it wasn't art related in any particular way.
Not really.
That's
Except, you know, maybe high school, you know, high school summer job, cleaning up other schools. You know, that's probably the most I've gone off track. Because even as a model, I was in an artistic environment.
Yeah, that's why I put the question. Yeah, exactly.
So, you know, I might not have been painting, but it was so much
you were the subject
around me, and took me on the journey that I needed to go on. That you know,
there's art to that. I always say, you know, when I speak of art, I'm talking the arts. So, you know, my personal definition of art that I always share with folks, especially other artists that don't speak of art in this kind of range, like. It's hard for me to, the only reason I even use the colloquial, you know, if I say I'm an actor and I say, and I'm an artist too, like, I hate to even say that because I'm just like, it's all art, damn it. Like, I don't like to be like, I'm telling you I'm an artist, like the only artists are the visual artists. Like, yeah, I draw and paint and stuff. It's like, you know, or that was a big part. You know, it's like all of it.
Yes, it's yeah.
And to me.
And to become that Renaissance person, you know, and why do we have to put ourselves in a box?
Come on. Real talk. I never could. That's why I am who I am. It wasn't going to happen no way.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't going to happen no way. So, but that's awesome that you never really had to do that. So I would say, and we're getting close to the end because I'm not going to, I know you were working on a painting, so we're going to get you right back in it. These are my last two questions.
Okay.
What piece or collection of work or anything, you know, collectors you haven't met or clients you'd like to have or anything is on your bucket list at this point in life? Like, how do you want to, you know, whatever that is.
Bucket list.
Yeah.
I could not begin to name a name. Yeah, I don't usually think of that per se.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, who knows where that prosperity is going to come from. It could be, you know, somebody with absolutely no name who just comes along and says, I love what you do. I want to support what you do. Mm-hmm. And, you know, it would be lovely if I had a fairy godmother, fairy godfather, you know, bibbidi bobbidi boo. And I don't have to worry about anything. I don't worry about the hustle, the advertising, the marketing, because that's the part that most artists do not like, and that's definitely not one of my strongest points. Maybe I could be further along if I was better at that. Mm-hmm. But I just want to create for creativity's sake.
Wow.
You know, and it's going to draw in who it's meant to draw in. You know, and as long as I can take care of my needs and feed myself, because I've gone through some very lean times, and after those, I was like Scarlett O'Hara and Gone with the Wind, and standing defiantly, and I'll never go hungry again. You know, you know, I don't believe in that starving artist. I like to cook and I like to eat.
Come on.
I will do that, you know, if nothing else. I will have food in my cupboard.
I'm with you. What time is dinner? I'll bring the fish. Fresh, straight from the lake.
Imagine that. You know, you can't even buy it like that anymore.
Well, you're talking to the man right now. I'm an angler. I mean, like, I'm going tomorrow, actually. Me and my dad going to be on the lake tomorrow morning. So,
well, that's freaking awesome. I wish we lived closer together and I wasn't way out here in Dracula.
Yeah, you lied. Dracula, everybody.
the cooler. Yeah, because when I lived in New York, there was a Korean market I used to like to shop at, where you can go there and you can look the fish in the eye.
Come on.
And you can tell if it's fresh.
Come on.
And you can smell it. It's not packed up in saran and all the bad parts cut off and all of that, fresh. I used to love that.
Come on. Hey, I always tell people, there ain't no argument for me if somebody, oh, so you eat it? Yeah, I eat what I catch. If I'm gonna bring it home, it's getting eaten, and it might be that same night. Imagine that, like real talk. And so, like, and all life eats life, like, so I wouldn't get in that topic.
As it should be.
Right, I wouldn't get in that topic with it.
I know how to clean and dress a fish.
All right now.
My grandmother taught me, because we used to have a fishmonger that would go around and ring a bell through the neighborhood when I was little, and we scaled it and cleaned it and gutted it out in the backyard. Yep. And she usually fried it. It was just whatever it was. I don't care the name of it. It was always good.
Always good. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yeah. Now, I said I have one more question, but I'm going to sneak in one more, and then I'm going to drop that last one. You've already kind of answered it, but it'll be a cute way to end. So the other one is with your clients, because it kept popping in my head. Make sure, because I want people to understand the leverage of the person I'm speaking to. Of all the different commercial work you've done, one that always pops out to me is that you did a cover, was it for Heavy Metal magazine?
My first professional job in 1985 was a cover for Heavy Metal. Mm-hmm. I went into, back in the day when you actually had to carry a portfolio case.
Come on.
And all that. And I was a collector. I already had a collection of Heavy Metal, because, never mind the actual comic stuff, the content, it was the art, drool,
because we tie it all together in honest time. I'm just saying, quick reference. Make sure, I know I told you this already. The first interview I did in this series was Tertel Only, the founder of the Black Age of Comics movement and everything. He went to Paris because of Eartha Kitt and another lady in telling him, America ain't got nothing else for you. As talented as you are, you need to go somewhere where they're going to appreciate you, at the time in his life. And he went there, and while he was there, someone told him about Metal Hurla.
Metal Hurla.
Okay, in French. And this was when it first got started. And he tells the story. You got to hear him tell it. It's amazing. He was talking about how where their base of operations was in the hood in France, in Paris. It was like a really rough area with a lot of weird stuff going on. And when he found the office, he went and talked to the dude, telling him he was an artist from America. And the guy was just kind of checking him out, like, okay. And he told him he sent him somewhere else. I'm forgetting parts of the story, but the point is, once he got wherever he told him to go, the guy told him, "Do you know who you were talking to?" He was like, "No." He was like, "You were talking to Morbius." He had met Morbius, who was one of the founders of Metal. He even wanted
to I know his work well.
So, of course, he knew the work, like you're saying, but he didn't know who he was if he saw him. So he went back, running back, like, "Dude, it's you!" Like, and he was talking about how big that was in Paris. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, and how big that was at the time. Like he said, it was so. This is what I'm talking about appreciation for art and a culture. It was so big in France when it came out. He said the street hustlers would go to this place, buy stacks of it, like folks selling the newspaper, and be on the damn train hawking issues of Heavy Metal. Like, that's how bomb it was. Like, that's how much people respected sequential art in France. I was like, man, that's amazing. That's just amazing. It just blew my mind just to imagine that. Just, if I was out on the street and somebody ran up to me, "Hey man, you want to buy this Black independent comic book?" You know what I'm saying? If we had it rolling like that, like if it was that hardcore, like I was like, man, that's amazing.
Because there was no place they wouldn't go.
Yo.
And I guess it started out kind of underground, but then it moved here. They might have cleaned a few things up, but it was still, you had your share of TNA and all of that. That's what sold it. But the artwork was just freaking incredible, because where else could you find this? And it was such an honor. At that point, I was like, okay, I can die now. For Heavy Metal, I'm done.
I did it. Right.
I'm done.
Right.
And I was so proud, because I was the first Black woman to have a cover with them too.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Y'all hear that, right? All right. This is who we rep. Okay.
Yeah, and I was able to get another one, a few years later, which was great. So yeah, as a matter of fact, I have right in front of me.
Okay.
I have, well, they're what do you call it? Cards, like trading cards
Beautiful.
that I keep on my desk here.
Oh yeah, that's the
This
one, right?
this
Yeah.
is the second cover.
Okay, that's the second one. Okay, I remember
Yeah,
seeing
this is the second cover.
it.
This was the first cover.
Wow, 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 wow. Toni.
Yeah.
Toni.
I keep it nearby. It's like there was a time.
Oh, that time ain't never ended. It just went into you and your what?
It marked a kind of a turning point in my life.
You in multiple dynasties, darling. You're amazing. You know this. Get out of here. Look at all that behind you. It never ends. It never ends. So on that note, and you've kind of already said this. My last question gonna be just, what does ONYXCON mean to you? And just, I know what you, like I said, I tell you, I know what you mean to me for having met you, because I literally, like I said, I cannot remember when I first found your work. I just know it was definitely early online stages, searching the web, and one thing led to another. And I saw some of your fantasy work. I mean, it's mostly fantasy work, but it was some of the Afrocentric based, like you just showed, Kemetic Egyptian tide work. And then I saw a little bit of influence of Hinduism and all the other metaphysical groups and dealings that you do. And I was just like, who is this woman? And didn't realize it was a woman until I think I did find a picture of you posing with something. I was like, oh, and she's gorgeous. Wow. It was just like bugging, because I'm like, why do you not hear about this person? Because, I put you right in the same echelon, use my big words, echelon of folks like your Boris Vallejo, Julie, what's his wife? Julie, is it Julie Bell? Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
I modeled for him.
For what?
Back in my modeling days. Yeah, we had actually become friends.
I
was still living in New York.
Is it a painting that I would know? Like something that got published?
It got published. I mean, it wasn't portrait, but it's me. Oh. It's me.
Okay.
It was me. I was in a few of them, some of his calendar work.
Okay.
And I was still in my modeling phase at that point, and I was in let's see, I think I was living in Upper Manhattan in Washington Heights at that point, and he was living in Yonkers.
Okay.
So, which was not that far away. And I wrote his publishing company because I was just like, ooh, Boris, and wanted to, kind of give him a shout and how much I loved his art and blah, blah, blah. And he wrote me back.
That's what's up.
He wrote me back, and we had a little exchange, and I said, I'm a model. And he says, well, would you model for me? And
come on.
And like, yeah.
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 That's what's
I have an original drawing that he did of me. So yeah, that was part of my journey too.
Are you still in touch with him? Like, you can still hit him up if you wanted to? I mean,
I probably could. I mean, we haven't in a while. We've seen each other at a couple of cons, and it's been,
Yeah, still love, yeah.
It's still a good thing.
Right.
And I met Julie. He was married at the time when I first met him.
Dope.
He was with his ex-wife, Doris.
Oh, okay.
They were like the dynamic duo of Doris and Boris.
Okay.
And sometimes I wondered in that movie True Lies. Did you ever see True Lies? Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh wow, you're taking it back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Going back. Well, anyway, their code names were Doris and Boris, and I'm like, I wonder, because I know he knew Arnold, so who knows. But anyway, and then fast forward to him connecting with Julie. She was a model, and they became close, and he had the divorce and whatnot, and it was kismet for him and Julie, and they would paint next to each other, and it was a beautiful couple, beautiful situation.
Word. You're gonna have me going through my calendars, because I used to collect those. Like, I had Bud Plant comic art, shout out to Bud Plant. They were always finding all of that, and still are. And I know I would just, like, every time a calendar came out, if I didn't get it through them, I'd be hunting certain little stores in Atlanta that would have it occasionally.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was major. Like to get that calendar every year. Oh my gosh. Like whether
Yeah.
it's old work or his newest work. Yeah, I gotta go through my stuff to see if I recognize. That's Tony. That one's Tony.
Well, I mean, there's parts I don't think you would recognize, as you shouldn't. And of course, Boris always made everybody look a little better than they were.
Oh.
But I know I was a Valkyrie, and one of the he did a couple of Valkyrie paintings, and there was one. The first one was of this woman. She had long, dark, flowing hair, and she's astride this white horse-like beast. He had like claws instead of hooves.
You're gonna make me wait a minute.
Well, don't look for it now.
Yeah, yeah. You
Anyway, she's kind of riding this thing, and that was me.
Wow. Wow. That's dope.
A little bit more buxom, but
Get it, Tony. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Wow. Dang, Boris my ears. So, and it's good to hear he was cool like that, because, one of my biggest heartbreaks is when you read up about some of the artists that you admire and you find out that they may have been racist or something else crazy going on. And I always kind of knew with Boris he was cool as hell, because he always had black models and they were always dignified whenever you saw.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Versus
he actually grew up around a lot of racism. He's Peruvian.
Okay.
And he said in his home country, they would be racist between the lighter and the darker. As it happens in India and, other countries, you could be the same race and there's still issues, but yeah, he's very, very genuine human being.
Yeah. Yeah. What broke my heart, maybe about a year ago, I saw somebody, people go digging, and that's the problem. If you got them issues, it's gonna come out. But somebody posted like a postcard that Frank Frazetta, the legendary, had sent, and I'll say that for his art. But once I found this, I was like, damn, these motherfuckers! Like, he sent some coon type character of a little Sambo type dude running from a lion, and thought it was funny or whatever, and sent it to a friend. But of course, like I say, nothing gets buried. People gonna find out what you think.
Oh, he had a lot of Sambo kind of or gorilla kind of reference stuff in his art, and I will admire him till the cows come home. In terms of his artistry, not his politics.
Exactly.
And hopefully as he got older, he mellowed. But yeah, he had a lot of that kind of stuff in his work.
It's the worst.
I got his books too.
Because when I was in high school and I didn't know nothing about, you wouldn't know about that part. It was just the incredible fantasy art. And I always said, if you're on that tip, ahead of time, unless it's some subliminal reference to every person of a browner complexion, where, they're the monstrous creature that somebody of European descent looking is heroically fighting off or whatever. But you don't realize, as a kid, if you're just trying to keep it all in perspective until you realize how the world is and all this mess, you're not thinking of it from that perspective. You just like, oh, cool image, and that ain't got nothing to do with me and my people. Then you realize how they think, or you read some notes. It's like, I forget the guy's name, but the guy who created King Kong, as much as I like the character, and you realize, how racist his point of view was, and how King Kong was like a subliminal message in its way. And it's just like, good gosh, y'all, man, this thing is it's like there's so much unraveling that's being done right now. And I guess my biggest hope is that, with the unraveling, it won't just be the history repeats itself comment and we go right back into the same old BS. I hope people start. We can't. I think we're at a breaking point. I think we're truly at a breaking point for the first time in my lifetime, because I've seen stuff before. I ain't that young, but it's like you see where it can start again, and you see where some stuff is going to try and start again, but people are so frustrated at this point. I think there's gonna be enough backlash to shut stuff down like never before. In a way, technology helps people to stay on a constant judgment, whether it's good, informed, uninformed, whatever. And then those who are really knowing are gonna work it all out and be like, get that right, and start over. That's your homework. You know what I'm saying? And it's refining everything until hopefully folk all the way wake up to what should be going on with some of this. So. Yeah.
it's some serious stuff going on, and it is time for the sleepers to awaken.
Word. Well, I think that's a great way to end this. What a beautiful statement. And I thank you so much again. I wish, but I know it'll come someday where we can get that real hug again. But this is the virtual hug. That's on your cheek.
Oh, thank you. I receive and share.
Yes. Love me some Toni and all of your work. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, I'm about to blast this all over social media. Once I hope this technology acts right, I'm gonna stop this recording and start editing. Take care, Toni. Thank you now.
Peace.
Bye-bye.